So, I know I'm late to this party, but the Hollywood Reporter was I think it was the trade that broke the story about Disney Plus and their Daredevil sackings and rejiggings and rebootings and Feige not being happy. And I've left it a while because after all of the ha has died down, we do have to consider a few things. Like I've said before, particularly with Victoria Alonso going, who's going to replace these people? It's all right laughing and pointing the finger, which we are all enjoying at the moment because they've been so shockingly bad. Good old dismal minus. They've been so shockingly bad at handling both Marvel and Star Wars. But let's concentrate on Daredevil stroke Marvel. But let's have a look. Let's have a considered look. Rather than, and don't get me wrong, I am tempted to go ha at the fact that they've sacked more or less everyone. They've realised finally how poorly they're doing. But I've got my doubts that they've sacked the right people, and I've got my doubts that they've left the right people in place. And yeah, Kev, it's you I'm looking at, mate. But let's have a chat about it after the scroll. Bonjour. So let's get right into this one, and let's piece by piece take this apart. This Hollywood Reporter article. I'm not going to go. There was a load here about Secret Invasion and how Marvel. I want to concentrate on Daredevil because it's personal for me. Because he and Captain America are my two favourite Marvel characters. Fell in love with Daredevil when I was a kid. Black and white reprints of the American coloured comics, and there was an artist called Gene Colan that I think he made the character. He didn't create the character, but he gave it I think he'd done over 50 issues of the comic. So, you're looking at nearly 6 years of artwork that Gene Colan did. I've got a personally signed. Oh, it's not up there no more. I've got a Daredevil piece that he done for me in 2001. There's the statue there. I'm not saying I've got the whole collection of Daredevil, by the way. I'm still getting bits and pieces. I haven't been picking it up since issue 1 and got every single issue because I've grown up with it and I'm just collecting back issues as I go, and I really love it. So it's a character I love. So, but let's start with this Hollywood Reporter. Now, I'll tell you what. Before we get into the Hollywood Reporter's article, look how they have already. Look how Dismal Minus have already interpreted this character, and it wasn't too bad in the Spider-Man film. Because he was basically just Matt Murdock, attorney at law. So that's fine. That's in fact that would have been a great, and it was just a great cameo. Just link people in. Come on, let's do it. It's nice to have a nod and a wink to the comic fans. Not make it, just the comic fan. Not make it something that the audience needs to understand. But if you're into the comics, yeah. If you never watched Daredevil, read a Daredevil comic, when Matt Murdock turns up in the Spider-Man film, he's just another character and blah, blah. That's fine. Okay. But then, look what they did. Look what they did to him in She-Hulk. All of this needs to be considered before we go into this. And what they've done and what they're throwing out. I think they're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, as the saying goes. Because, yeah, it was dire in She-Hulk. It was some CGI crap, some special effects superhero crap, that this bloke jumping around and bouncing about, and it was nothing to do in this stupid costume, just pathetic, that they used in the first, I think it was 6 or 7, 8 issues. It was yellow and red, and the in-joke, Stanley, and I can't cite this reference, but just bear with me, just permit me. Where I believe that Stan Lee, that there was an in-joke that because he was blind, that's why he had such a crappy outfit. He couldn't see the colours, he couldn't see the red and the yellow. And it was made up of his dad's robe. But anyway, let's get right into it, because Dismal already aren't treating this character very well. And they've lined up an 18 episode series. 18 episodes, where does that come from? Everything else they've done 6 or 8. But when they announced this a year or so ago, 18 episodes, so already my spider sense was tingling. My spider sense was tingling straight away. I think everyone else's was. So, Hollywood Reporter says, Daredevil hits reset button as Marvel overhauls its TV business. Launched during the pandemic with a playbook to shoot $150 million seasons with no pilots, the Disney unit is undergoing growing pains and seeing the logic of traditional TV culture. So, now, yeah, hit the reset button. But why undergoing growing pains? This is through WandaVision, Falcon, and Winter Soldier, and etc. 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 You know, you've got nearly $1.5 billion of growing pain there. I don't know if it's too little, too late. But again, this is obviously coming from the top. And let's get into it, because, all right, they're going to sweep the decks. But let's talk about who they're sweeping the decks of. Yeah, they're not sweeping the decks of... They're not saying you'll never see another She-Hulk series with all that lot involved. They're not saying you're never going to see a gender-driven Falcon and Winter Soldier, like drivel. Absolute drivel. At least Loki. Well, Loki did cuck the. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to go there. Let's stick to Daredevil and get back to this. And it's this Hollywood Reporter, right? It didn't take long to see the problem after Marvel Studios' Daredevil Born Again paused production in mid-June during the writer's strike. Fewer than half of the series' 18 episodes have been shot, but it was enough for Marvel executives, including Chief Kevin Feige, to review the footage and come away with a clear-eyed assessment the show wasn't working. So in late September, Marvel quietly let go of head writers Chris Ord and Matt Corman, and also released the directors for the remainder of the season as part of a significant creative reboot of the series. Right. So, Chris Ord and Matt Corman, their biggest creative endeavour, right, was 5 seasons of a successful TV show on USA Network. Covert Affairs. And it was in the early 2010s, 2010 to 2014, around that time. Now, I'm not here to... I never watched it. But can you tell me what Dismal Minus has produced that has lasted 5 series? So what they've decided to do is they've had a look. They've had a look at what these two guys have done. and said, no, you're all gone, all gone. You're the two writers, and everyone, all the directors are gone, go. It's crap, go. I've got a feeling that this is a knee-jerk reaction. Let's see if I'm right or not. And you know, if you have followed me in any of my rants about Dismal Minus, you will know what side of the fence I'm on here regarding these decisions. But do you know what? Again, even with the Victoria Alonso decision, I'm just not happy that they're going to find anyone, or they're willing. It's because it's still coming from the top down. I don't think they're willing to let creatives be creative. I just don't think they're capable of it. I think the decks should have been swept from the top down. I think there's got to be a ton of creative talent. I'm betting there is at Marvel that have been stifled and crushed by the incessant drone of agenda-driven, politically motivated creative, I don't know what you would call it, creative it's stifling the whole thing, whatever they're doing from the top down. But what they're doing, what Feige's done, is he's got rid of Ald and Corman, but these are two guys that have, out of all the people they've got to do all of their crap before this, these two guys have done 5 series of Covert Affairs. Whether you loved it or hate that series, no one else there in that TV department has done anything close, unless you've worked on Ren and Stimpy and what's the other one they love, Rick and Morty, which I think a lot of the She-Hulk writers are from. They're useless, a lot of them. But these two guys were the creators, and I think one of them wrote the first season, the other one was the producer for all 5 seasons. Both of them were involved for all 5 seasons. But no, now you're gone. Now, I think this is all down to the brief they were given. And I think they're just the scapegoats. And it's a shame, because I bet they could have produced something fairly decent. That is a decent TV procedural drama. Not a lawyer procedural like they said She-Hulk was going to be, like they said this was going to be. Someone somewhere else said that Daredevil wasn't turning up till episode 4. Well, with 18 episodes, all right, you could probably wait for him to turn up. But really, why? Why call it Daredevil then? Call it Matt Murdock. You know, She-Hulk attorney at law. What did you call it, Matt Murdock? Also attorney at law. Back to the article. Through it all, the company eschewed the traditional TV making model. It didn't commission pilots, but instead shot entire $150 million plus seasons of TV on the fly. It didn't hire showrunners, but instead depended on film executives to run its series. And as Marvel does for its movies, it relied on post-production reshoots to fix what wasn't working. We're trying to marry the Marvel culture with the traditional television culture, says Brad Winderbaum, Marvel's head of streaming, television and animation. It comes down to, how can we tell stories in television that honour what's so great about the source material? With Marvel's new direction, Marvel hopes to right the ship on a project with sky-high expectations. Oh yeah. No shit, Sherlock. Sky-high expectations, because for 3 series, Netflix smashed it. Maybe not the third. The third series probably got a little bit too serious for its own good. I think I think they took themselves too seriously by the third series. I think they understood perfectly what made it work. Embrace the ridiculousness of a comic book hero. Just embrace it, and you will be fine. Whether it's Thor, Captain America, Daredevil, Iron Man, embrace the ludicrous proposition of it all. Don't try to make it fit. You've got to make it fit in the world we live in. Don't get me wrong, but don't try to make it fit like the worst thing in the world, grounding it. Oh, let's ground it. Let's ground everything like a cup of coffee. No, you elevate the hero. Make him outstanding. Make him something different. He's a blind man that can beat people up, smash a biker gang as he's walking down a flight of stairs. Come on, do it. Do that. So, but what they're saying here, the traditional television culture, says Brad Winderbaum. But you've just sacked two people that ran a show successfully for 5 years on network TV, USA Network, that relies on advertising revenue. If it wasn't working, you're gone. So you're not just relying on the pilot that worked, because this is what this feature is saying. This article in Hollywood Reporter is saying Dismal Minus now want to go back, and I've said this. Any of you out there, you sexy 20,000 subscribers, you know I love you. But any of you that have followed me for very long, you know that I've been saying that TV, this whole streaming culture, is in such an infancy mode at the moment. But I can't help feeling that because there is no measure of success, apart from counting minutes, I can't help feeling, I know I'm old-fashioned, I know I'm a geekyOlhog, but you can't beat the competitive environment of trying to sell advertising for shows and needing to show legitimate figures to advertisers that want to give you millions of dollars. You know, you've got brands that say, right, I've got $10 million here, you advertise my product during your show, but I need to see verified viewing figures. And that measure of success, don't get me wrong, you know, you're going to get, I'm not saying that means we're going to get quality entertainment, but it does mean that everyone's on their toes from day one to do their best job. You know, you'll still get a filler episode or two here and there, and you'll still get your favourite, and you'll still get your less than favourite episode. I'm not saying it was a perfect thing, but it's got to be better. I don't, put it this way, I don't know what the streaming isn't the alternative to that. There's no measurement for success. And clearly, Dismal Minus are they're the poster boys for how you can't make it work. Because subscribers are down, viewing figures are trash, they can't sell any merchandise on the back of the show, can't even sell a t-shirt anymore on anything. So imagine not being able to sell a Star Wars t-shirt from your latest characters. I'm not talking about, you know, you sell a Vader t-shirt and a Chewbacca pair of slippers and a Yoda mask. But that was from 50 years ago. I'm talking about creating new. Everything's in the toilet. So I do firmly believe it's the brief that I think these two guys were given. And I know I should be ha ha, they're gone, ha, what are they going to do next? What's Disney going to do next? They've wasted loads of money. Yes, they have. And everyone's saying, oh, well, just give it back to the Netflix, the Netflix lot. Well, yeah. From a strictly business point of view, I don't know if Netflix would want it now, because Marvel is such a damaged brand. But let's just put that to one side. But the best thing for me, if I was head of Marvel, would be to have stopped the lot, a bit like old Zaslav did with Batgirl, Shelved it. He just shelved it. Stopped the lot, shelved it. It was so crap, just shelve it. Not worth even spending any more money. In England, we call it wiping your mouth, or in my little section of England, you wipe your mouth. You've spent all that dough, just wipe your mouth and move on. Perhaps that's what Dismal should have done with Daredevil and give it back to Netflix. Just say, guys, here you go. We're going to give you the copyright and all that. Because don't forget, Dismal haven't got the money. God knows how much they've spent on this already. I mean, they do say less than half of the 18 episodes. So say that's 9 episodes are. Let's just call it half a dozen or 8, whatever it is. God, my God, they've spent tens of millions on this already. And I know the strike has come in and, well, done them a favour in a way. But where Feige, I don't know where Feige has got this clarity, suddenly got this clarity of vision, because he and his other cronies would have been the ones giving Ord and Corman the brief. You can't tell me that they have come up with. I don't think they came up with, or would have wanted to come up with, 18 episodes of crap. Having showrun 5 series, 75 episodes of a successful TV show, you get given a brief. You've got to do this, you've got to do that, he's got to be a lawyer, we don't want to see him. There's too much interference, and they weren't showrunners. And I maintain, and let's see how right I am, I'm not one of really making predictions, but with Dismal I do seem to be making predictions recently. Let's see how near I am, and see if we hear from them about the brief they were given, rather than the ideas they had, the ideas they brought to the table, the reason they got the job, how enthusiastic they were, 2 of them. And if you've ever seen a show called Alias, with Jennifer Garner, who was Elektra in that film, Covert Affairs was a similar series to that, and Covert Affairs involved a blind man. It's really weird, the links. That I don't know whether it helped them get the job, but I just find it fascinating. I don't know, I just find it fascinating. Because what Hollywood Reporter is saying is that Corman and Ord crafted a legal procedural that did not resemble the Netflix version, known for its action and violence. Cox didn't even show up in costume, Cox as in Charlie, didn't even show up in costume until the 4th episode. Marvel, after greenlighting the concept, found itself needing to rethink the original intention of the show. Marvel plans to keep some scenes and episodes, though other serialised elements will be injected, with Corman and Ord becoming exec producers on the 2-season series. Right. Let's, as I just said, Marvel found itself needing to rethink the original intention of the show. The brief that Corman and Ord were given. A legal procedural, silly, fluffy, pathetic. Perhaps they were regretting it. Perhaps they were being given so much money. I don't know, because it can only be the money. There were too many. You can't tell me that Samuel L. Jackson in Secret Invasion wasn't paid so much money that he was prepared just for those few weeks not to go out and not to be seen, not to talk to anyone. But really, without going into too much, I mean, there's a lot about Secret Invasion there. The last bit I kind of want to draw your attention to is the studio also plans on having full-time TV executives rather than having executives straddle both television and film. We need executives that are dedicated to this medium, that are going to focus on streaming, focus on television, says Winterbaum, because they are 2 different forms. Shall I say it again? No shit, Sherlock. The good news is that the penny has dropped with this lot. I think the penny has finally dropped, and it's helping that Pelt's in like further afield in business affairs with Disney. You've got old Nelson Pelt, and he's their biggest shareholder, and he's had a shit, and he's rolling in it, and he wants a seat on the board, and he's pointing fingers, and he's on a rampage, which is good, and it's about time. It's about time because the nonsense, but it does look so. As the clouds part, it does look like the sun is shining, and the nonsense has been found out. And this is the first show, thank God, for me personally, thank God, I pray, that this is the nonsense has been thrown out. But like I said right at the beginning, I can't help feeling, I've got a lot of sympathy for Ord and Corman here, because I'm not saying they would have produced 18 episodes. If they'd have been left alone, like if the writer strike hadn't happened, and the actor strike and all that, and everything going on at Marvel hadn't have happened this year, I'm not saying we would have got 18 episodes of great Daredevil on a par with the Netflix, certainly the first 2 series of the Netflix show. We would have been nowhere near it. But what I am saying is that would be because you have got some decent creative talent stifled by the brief you are suffocating them with. You're suffocating them with your agenda-driven crap. Where can we put this in? Where can we put that in? Where can we put one of them in? Why isn't she doing that? What? Oh, don't forget, Matt Murdock is white and male, so we can't have him in that too. We can't have him in every episode too much. Same old dismal minus. Anyway, so basically, that's all I wanted to draw everyone's attention to be fair. Because I'm going to keep an eye, because I am such a fan, I do hold the character close to my heart. And it is a shame when you have followed characters for years. And this will hark back to all of the characters that a lot of fandom has held on to for years. You know, Doctor Who and Star Trek, probably 2 of the longest running ones. Look what they've done to them. And we're angry because we've held on to these stories and these characters. We've cherished them for decades, lifetimes. And certain companies, not just Dismal, not just these prats, most of Hollywood, have just rampaged through a lot of them and forgotten what made them great. So good news is, to be fair, good news is they're sweeping the decks, but let's see who replaces them, because I can't help feeling that why have you got rid of these 2? I can't help feeling that instead of doing that, maybe you should have gone back to these 2 guys and said, you're the showrunners, bring it. Because they know, they clearly and objectively know how to deliver an episodic, serialised storyline. Because they did it for 5 years over at USA Network. But no, you're gone. I hope everyone understands what I'm trying to get at here. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. I'm going to keep an eye on this Daredevil saga because of how close I hold it to my heart. But in the meanwhile, thank you to everyone. If you've stayed here all the way to the end, thank you so much. I really do need more comments, likes, and just talking about what I talk about. You're all quiet, you Hog fans. I don't know why. But yeah, come on. Give me a comment. But more, give me a like. And love you all sexy 20,000 subscribers. You sexy, sexy subscribers. And until next time, whether it's this or comics, whatever I'm going to talk about next, I'm going to bid you all adios.